YouTubers, how I hope you're fine there. This is a little video where I'll talk about a record fair that I went to the other day, and it's the Nacka Strandsmässan. I got a little leaflet here. The Lilla Skivmässan, the smaller record fair. And that of course refers to the big record fair in Solna that will be at the end of September. But I found this leaflet in a record store some weeks ago, and I thought, well, why not? It's at Nacka Strand at Augustendalstorget, and I realized during my 12 years in Stockholm, I've never been to Nacka Strand. So I thought, okay, well, two interesting things to do. First of all, have a look at Nacka Strand, and then also have a look at some records. So I went there. It shared venue together with a DJ disc jockey fair of some sort, so it was a bit noisy there. I went around and had a look at the DJ equipment too, but still I realized I'm not really DJ material despite all these records around me. So what did I find? Well, I didn't purchase that many records, but I bought some that I found interesting anyway. First of all, I bought a new record by the Swedish prog group Träd, Gräs och Stenar, but they just changed their name for this album. They played since the, I think, late 60s, but now only one of the original members are left, is left. So they decided to just call themselves Träden, the trees, Träd, Gräs och Stenar, trees, grass and stones. And they had just a new double album issued called Träden on the Subliminal Sound record label. Looks like this in thick, nice green vinyl. Thus. And I have to say they follow in the same footsteps as the previous recordings by Träd, Gräs och Stenar. A mix between vocal and instrumental progressive symphonic rock, and very pleasant and a bit a bit progressive, as I said. So that was the first one. I bought this new because they sold it at it was at Mellotronen's table with records. Waved hello to Stefan Dimle there. And I also bought another record from the same, where I just bought it because it looks so weird and it made me really curious. And it's this album, Hard Rock by the Equinox. And one reason why I found it interesting is that it was issued on the budget label Boulevard. Boulevard is a British record label that I mainly think of easy listening, really cheap and not that qualitative recordings, so I just didn't expect to find something with hard rock. Anyway, also I took it home and I started listening to it, and I read on the back sleeve here we have a text that's written as if it's written by somebody who first of all wants to tell other people what is hard rock, and also the person who wrote this doesn't even have any clue whatsoever what hard rock is, because it sounds really flimsy. Anyway, one thing that really confused me is the fact that we'll see 4 people on the sleeve, 3 men and 1 woman. But on the back sleeve, I read the group is a 4-piece consisting of Mick Chedd, Sid Oldfield, John Stoppard, and Terry Walden. This is from 1973, by the way. Well, none of them are women, so what's going on here? I listened to it and I thought it was quite bad. Interesting though, but bad. It sounds as if this group has been shoved into the studio, saying, okay, and the producer press play record on the tape recorder and said, all right, do your stuff, I'll go and have some coffee. And then but hurry up, don't you dare make any mistakes because we'll put it out anyway. And some of the tracks, they sound really, really, really untight. It's like the drummer is doing one thing, the bass player is doing one other thing, and it's just all over the place. There are some fairly okayish tracks, like Black Mike. I think that's a good one, but it's trying to be some sort of symphonic progressive rock, not hard rock. It's not definitely it's not hard rock, but it doesn't really get anywhere, and it sounds as if, well, they were pushed out of the studio as fast as they could. Okay, you've done your stuff, bye now, fuck off, or anything like that. Yeah, I guess that's how the people in this group felt also, because I then found out, when I started checking for information online, I found out that Boulevard was notorious for doing stuff like that, and didn't really want to pay their artists or anything. And also, when the record came out, the members of this Equinox group, they were quite surprised because it wasn't them on the cover. They had some reused photos of four people, including one woman, and they decided to use that as an album cover. They didn't even take a picture of the group who plays on the actual album. So, well, it's interesting, but if you see it, don't get it. There are you can hear examples from this album are here on YouTube. I wouldn't say it's worth getting though, but it was interesting. All right, over to something much better. In the early 1990s, I saw some sort of documentary about Marvin Gaye and the album What's Going On. And I thought, well, this is really, really good. And I bought it on CD because, of course, that's how you bought music back then. I've never had it on vinyl for some really weird reason. But I've bought a copy now. It's an American pressing. It's a bit worn. The record is it's almost excellent, but not entirely. It's a VG++. The sleeve is a bit worn, as you can see, and it's in a really, 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 really thick cardboard sleeve. Like was very typical of American pressings or American sleeves back then. But if you pull out the LP of the actual record, you can see that it's we talk about the early 70s and oil crisis, because well, if this would have been an RCA record, it isn't. It is a Tamla record. They would call it Dynaflex, because look at how thin it is, and it's like almost like a flexidisc. It's one of the thinnest vinyl records I've ever seen, and you can use it as a percussive instrument. Look, wow. Amazing. Well, one good thing though, it's not dented in any way because it's so thin. Look at this. Ooh, amazing. I wonder how many grams this is if you compare it to the heavy 180 and 200 grams issues that we get so excited about these days. Okay, let's continue. Over to a reissue of a record that I heard in the early 90s and had a bit of an influence on me. It's Love Sexy by Sade. And Sade, well, I was a teenager back then, and I was amazed. I was amazed that somebody was over 30. I think she was maybe 33 or something when this record was made. That anybody over 30 could look so good. Yeah. I wish I had a time machine I could go back and thump myself in the head thinking such idiotic stuff. She still looks very good. And, I mean, it's a lovely album. It's a jazzy pop, very cool, very laid back, very relaxing, like her and earlier albums as well. Smooth Operator, there's a smooth tone. Of course, Smooth Operator isn't on this, but as an example of her style, but a urban style, urban smooth style, an urban smooth and sexy style. Sade. Okay, a couple of days ago, on Friday, I got the newest copy of the Swedish magazine Rock and Roll magazine, and they have a big feature on Tom Petty. There's an upcoming box with Tom Petty material that hasn't been issued before, as I'm sure many of you know. And I saw a Tom Petty reissue of Into the Great Wide Open on this record fair, and I thought, well, I should buy it. I mean, I've got many records with all the Traveling Wilburys members, and I'm a great fan of it, and I have great respect for Tom Petty. I was sad when I heard that he had passed away the other year. And this is a famous record. I've seen it many times, but I never ever owned it. So I thought, why not? I mean, I've heard the songs on these albums many times, like Learning to Fly and Into the Great Wide Open, the title track. So why not? And I bought it. And it's Jeff Lynne who's producing, and you can hear it. And in my ears, that's not a bad thing that you can hear that it's Jeff Lynne. Okay, and the final record that I bought on this record fair is the best one. And it's P.P. Arnold, The Turning Tide. And for those of you who are not familiar with P.P. Arnold, she was an, or still is, singer from USA, from America, who was she was a member of the Ikettes, the background singer for Ike and Tina Turner in the 1960s. And during a tour to England, she left the group to become a solo artist. And she was one of these extremely respected singers, especially among the musicians that she played with. She became friends with many of the British pop stars of the late 60s. Well, P.P. Arnold got a record contract almost immediately for Immediate Records. Yeah, pardon the pun. And she recorded 2 albums there before the record company went bankrupt. Then she got in touch with the RSO, Robert Stigwood organization, and started working with the Gibb brothers of Bee Gees, and they started working on a 3rd album that was supposed to be released on Polydor, but it didn't go like that. It's many reasons it was held up, and the Bee Gees had big success and they didn't really have time for this. But then others like Eric Clapton took over and kept on gathering material for an album, but it wasn't released, and for many different legal mumbo jumbo reasons, it hasn't been released up until last year, when it finally, like 46 years after its recording, was issued on a label called Kundalini, licensed through Universal Music. And it is a bit of a scandal though, because this is an amazingly good album. I mean, she's a great singer. We know that, those of us who have heard her, but the arrangements, the tracks, this album doesn't contain any poor track whatsoever. They are all incredibly good, and it's definitely the best purchase of this record fair, and one of the best purchases of the last couple of months. I'm very happy I bought it. When I first saw it in a box there at the fair, I thought, okay, I've thought about getting this, but I haven't. But then I put it back, then I found another record, and I thought, okay, I'll get this, and I get the P.P. Arnold one, and I'm so happy I did. So, that's it for now. I hope you all have a nice day. Thank you for watching, and bye for now, and toodaloo, and Play record today.